I want to say to those who are joining us from around the world and other places, welcome. Welcome to the Yukon. I'd like to just reintroduce myself. Jeanie Mclean, Ushia, Teltan Justini, Chiona Justini, Clogadena Justini. I am Jeanie Mclean. I come from the Tahltan Nation, which is in northern BC. I am from the Wolf Clan, and I come from Clogodena people. And I'm born and raised here on this land, though, so I'm very much a part of the land, and I thank the Kwanlin and Kwäch'än people for always embracing me and holding me close. And I want to thank Phil Gattensby, our firekeeper and elder who led the ceremony around the fire today. I think he set a very good intention for the work that you will do and the gathering that you will have with each other over the next days. So I would like to lead us in the opening prayers for the 2022 Arctic Summit. I'd like to call upon Ta'an Kwäch'än elder Hazel Bunbury, a member of the Wolf Clan. Hazel is a beloved cultural carrier and knowledge keeper, instrumental in preserving and revitalizing the Southern Shoshone dialect. I want to say a special thank you. Hazel did some tremendous work in preparation for this summit. She spent many hours translating the program and the online platform to Southern Shoshone. Thank you so much, Hazel, for that work.
Christy Belcourt, I'm honored today to have been asked to say the opening prayer in my traditional language, traditional dialect of the Ta'an Kwäch'än. Utakudnche data show san dunana ganum taje agazenu. Dadze ganum jelje dayanji shoku sinan zeni. Shoni san zenu shostanda koten ayu aga Yedan Kwansat Kutsan Gana do Kukanum Taje Akan Ruju Dan Garet Ida Jau Kweta Ganum Daje Shosan Dakun Kutsan Nari Doge Dayadum Yaje Kloaka Dar En Dunyaje Zed Klokutsan Yedunana Ganado Yedunana Ganado Yed Asho Ganado Kudze Gerum Jelje Shokusi Nanzani Kunichi Shoni San Ahum Kudje. Amen.
Thank you, Hazel. Shoni Than. It's very honored to have you here to do one of the opening prayers. And now a prayer from a Kwanlin elder, Ann Smith. Ann is famed at home and abroad for her raventail weaving, as well as her regalia designs. Ann is dedicated to passing on her knowledge and skill to future generations. I'd like to welcome Ann Smith to the stage to do the opening prayer on behalf of Kwanlin.
I pray to the Creator. I pray to the grandfather, grandmother, I pray to the four sacred directions. Creator, I ask you to come and be here with us, our grandmother and grandfather, to be here with us also. I pray for the blessing of all our visitors that are here, and I pray that their stay here will be safe and that they will be looked after in a good way until they go home again. I thank you, Great Spirit, for this beautiful day, as every day is beautiful. I thank you for all the blessings that you have given to us, Creator. All the beautiful gifts. This land, this beautiful land, beautiful mountains, river, the water, the plants and the animals. Creator, I pray for all these things to be here for future generations. I pray for the next 7 generations so that they will have an opportunity as we are having today. I pray that things will work out for our children so that they will have a way to survive in a good way, in a good life. I pray for our children to learn how to be happy again, to enjoy this life, to enjoy each other, and to be kind to each other. I pray, Great Spirit, that whatever we do, we will do the very best to help each other and to hear each other and to talk to each other in a good way. I thank you, Creator, for all the blessings of this day. And I pray, Creator, that the blessings will be in every day, that people come and visit our center here, our homeland, in this beautiful place. I thank you, Great Spirit. I thank you, grandfathers. I thank you, grandmothers. Kunis cheese, masi cho, shonitan, hey, miigwech, hey.
Shonitan, Kunis Masicho. Thank you to these beautiful elders for their kind words today and for helping us start in a good way. Isn't this an incredible facility? This longhouse, the Kwanlin Cultural Center, is the Kwanlin's house. And it's been here for some years now and celebrating some anniversaries. And I'd like to call upon Chief Doris Bill for an official welcoming on behalf of the Kwanlin First Nation. Chief Bill is very, very respected leader in our territory. She has done some incredible work, and it's an honor to have her here with us today. Chief Bill has not spoken many times through COVID, and so this is a very special gathering that, so I'm very honored to have Chief Bill come and join us and offer some comments.
Well, Dunjay, everyone, welcome. It's so good to have you all here. It's been a long 2 years. And I just want to say thank you for coming. And thank you for attending the 2022 Arctic Art Summit. It's so good to see your beautiful faces. It's my honor today to welcome you to the Kwanlin traditional territory, portions of which we share with the Kwäch'än Council. I want to acknowledge our elder, Judy Gingell, who is sitting in the front row there. Judy is the former commissioner of the Yukon. I think she was one of the first Aboriginal Indigenous commissioners. And she's also an Order of Canada winner recipient. So I just want to make sure that I acknowledge that. Also want to acknowledge the elders, Elder Ta'an, Elder Hazel Bunbury, and Kwanlin Elder Ann Smith. Also want to, thank you, also want to acknowledge the firekeeper Phil Gadsby. Like Minister Mclean said, it's important we keep ourselves grounded in ceremony. I also want to offer a special thank you and for a great conversation that I had this morning with Your Excellencies, the Right Honourable Mary Simon, Governor General of Canada, sitting here in the front row. I can't tell you what an honor it is for a strong Indigenous women to be sitting in that role. Goodness cheese. And her husband, Mr. Whit Fraser, is no slouch. Mr. Fraser is a former CBC broadcaster, which I am too. I think we might have even touched bases somewhere along the line throughout the years. And I want to say thank you for, to all the other dignitaries here. I see the Sami people, Greenland, and other jurisdictions. I'm so pleased and so proud to have you here in our house. The Kwanlin Cultural Center, I'll tell you a little bit about this place. We call it our house because it's special to us. It's our home. Our people used to live along the waterfront for many, many generations until we were forced to relocate many times. And when we signed our land claim and self-government agreements more than 15 years ago now, one of the conditions for signing the agreement was the establishment of this cultural center. This cultural center reestablishes our presence along the waterfront. Our history and our connection to this area is extremely vital and important to our people. Much to our surprise, I guess not a surprise, but this cultural center is now the #1 gathering place within the city of Whitehorse, and rightly so. It has become one of the most utilized facilities within the city. And the fireplace that you were just around there has become a sacred space, not just to Kwanlin people, but to all Yukon First Nations people. This is now their center. I always boast about this center when I go across the country and say that, even we have trouble getting space in the facility. It's so busy. It's also another example, and a great example, of how our agreements can lead to a greater benefit for our communities. The Yukon, and indeed across the north, has many incredible artists, and we have so much to be proud of. Just look at the art displayed along the walls of this center. We have a vibrant, thriving arts community with one of the highest number of artists per capita in Canada. And you can see why. Just look at what inspires us each and every day. To some of you last night and possibly tomorrow are going to be going to the Yukon Arts Centre to take part in a production called Dreaming Roots. I went last night, and this is an Indigenous-led production, probably a first in our territory. It does an amazing job of weaving our past, present, and future of the Yukon First Nation people. I am so incredibly proud of this production. It is just absolutely wonderful, and I want to encourage you all to go and see it if you can. Both personally and in my role as a leader in my community, I have always advocated for the arts, and there's a reason for that. Not just because of the healing effects it has on me and so many others. It is also not lost on me that there was a time in our history that when much of our culture, along with many other artistic abilities, were silenced. We couldn't sing, we couldn't dance, we couldn't carve, and we couldn't paint. We couldn't do any of those things. We could have lost it all. And I am forever thankful to our elders for ensuring that that did not happen, and for continuing to share their skills and knowledge. I am inspired by the young people's eagerness to learn, and for each of their unique talents. I am especially encouraged when I see more and more of our people's works being showcased in public buildings, representing inclusion and a move towards decolonization of our system. Art can manifest itself in many forms. It is not only a means for an artist to express themselves or an avenue to tell one's story. It also serves as a conduit for reconciliation and healing. Or in some cases, it can write history or promote awareness and understanding around a national crisis. For example, one of our local murals, created by our young people, depicting Kate Carmack, led to a larger collaborative to have Kate recognized for her role in the 1896 discovery of gold. While oral and written history is riddled with Kate's involvement, only her male counterparts received formal recognition in 1999. As a result of these joint efforts, on January 10th, 2019, Kate finally took her rightful place in the record books. Imagine that. As the third woman, the first Indigenous woman, to be inducted into the Canadian Mining Hall of Fame. Another mural, located on the Staples Wall here in Whitehorse, it's just over here, is a stark reminder of our lost sisters and the continuous impacts related to missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. The murals include a mother, Wendy Carlick, and her daughter, Angel. Both women were murdered in two separate matters. Angel died in 2007. Her case is still unresolved. And her mother died a few years later in 2017. Her case is working its way through the courts. And there are so many others we hold dear in our hearts. Unfortunately, these are some of the harsh realities that continue in our communities today. And while we must move forward, we must also never forget. For thousands of years, art has been an integral part of our preservation of First Nation culture. It has also been a critical tool for cultural exchange, education, and expression. Here in the Yukon, we have a strong artistic community, and I am sure they will represent us all well during your conversation in the coming days. I wish you all the best during this summit, and to the Right Honourable Mary Simon, Governor-General of Canada, and Mr. Whit Fraser. I hope you both enjoy your stay in our homeland, and I hope you get to see some of our beautiful city. Gunas Chis Masicho Shonithan. Thank you.
Shonithan, Chief Bill, thank you for those words and for so much intention put into those comments and talking about some of the real issues that we have in our territory. And I think that's all part of the experience, that folks should have the whole picture when they're visiting another country or jurisdiction or part of the North. So thank you very much. I will now call on one of our newest chiefs. Chief Amanda Leas will offer remarks on behalf of Kwäch'än Council. And Amanda has been again, one of our newer chiefs, and such a blessing to have her part of our leadership in the Yukon. I'll make some more comments just as a little bit later on something that I just noticed in the program and this will be related to my role as Women in Gender Equity, so you can probably guess what it might be. But welcome, Amanda.
Thank you, Minister Mclean. You know, I could be here for 10 years and I think I'm still going to be the newest chief. So I'm rolling with it. So I do want to thank the elders as well as the firekeeper, my aunt Hazel Bunbury, and you heard her prayer, as well as Ann Smith and Phil Gattensby. I also want to take a minute to welcome Honourable Mary Simon. So thank you for coming to our beautiful territory and spending some time with the leaders. And we absolutely appreciate your time. And so on behalf of the Kwäch'än Council, it is my pleasure to welcome you today to our beautiful traditional territory, which we share in part with Kwanlin First Nation. I'd like to welcome all the dignitaries, elders, guests from across the circumpolar north to our beautiful community. I would like to thank the many partners and sponsors for this event, including the Canadian Council for the Arts, the Government of Yukon, Yukon First Nation Culture and Tourism Association, Yukon Arts Centre, Adaka Cultural Festival, Canadian Geographic, and the Arctic Arts Foundation, and so many more. I wish I could list them all. This is the first time the summit has been held in Canada. As you know, it was supposed to take place last year. Because of COVID, COVID had other plans. So we're very honored to be a part of this incredibly important forum taking place this year in our city. The Yukon has a strong Indigenous arts community. Just like our circumpolar neighbors, it's often our art that keeps our First Nation culture, language, and history alive. In my First Nation of Kwäch'än, our history is closely tied to Whitehorse and the Lake Labarge area. For those of you who have not been to Lake Labarge, please take the time to drive 20 minutes north. It's gorgeous. We too embrace many forms of art, including carving, performing arts, sewing, and storytelling. I myself take tremendous pride in having learned many art forms, including the art of design, from my elders, and I can't imagine a life without the ability to create and enhance my skills as an artist. I believe strongly that it is through those connections to the land and the water and the beauty that surround us that serves as inspiration and empowers us with strengths as individuals. I also believe that as forums like this, we can help improve our Indigenous arts industry as a whole, here in Canada and across the circumpolar north. Over the next 3 days, we will be sharing your knowledge, expertise, networking, and finding ways to strengthen our growing arts industry throughout the Arctic. I hope over the next few days you feel home here in the Yukon and that you are successful in strengthening connections, creating new friendships, and new opportunities for the days ahead. Shonithan, thank you.
Thank you, Shonithan, Chief Leas. Thank you for your comments. I think we're right on schedule. That's great. I know, right? I have my phone close to me, but what I was noticing while we were just going through the program, that I believe that every speaker other than our firekeeper today identifies as a woman. And so that, I mean, we do have many, and we're balanced. I mean, and I think that in terms of our leadership in the North, we hold our men up, our men hold us up, and those that identify as other genders do as well. And so we really work hard for inclusivity in our territory and have come a long ways. And I just talk about that because I think that what I know from the elders, what they've taught me, is that this land is matriarchal land, and so I believe that there's never a mistake in things as they unfold, and so for you to be welcomed by all women today, I think is very special, and we have a lot of women leaders in our territory, and come by it naturally. So thanks. We have our regional chief, Kwäch'än Adamak, here today. We have our commissioner, Commissioner Bernard, and many others that are here. And I, again, thank you to Minister Pillay for allowing me to have this time to open in this way. I really appreciate that, Minister Pillay. I'm so excited about this. I now have the absolute honor to introduce our keynote address. It is my honor and privilege to introduce Canada's first Indigenous Governor General on her first official visit to the Yukon. Please join me in welcoming Her Excellency, the Right Honourable Mary Simon, Governor General of Canada. Thank you.
Unusakot, tungasugitsi, nakokmipunga, takunga haisimagama. First, I want to welcome everybody here, and it's wonderful to be in the Yukon. Everyone has been so welcoming, chiefs, elders, dignitaries, and delegates. The list goes on. There's so many of you here. And especially when I saw the representatives from the circumpolar region, it made me remember the great work that we did together by creating the Arctic Council. So welcome, everybody. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional territory of the Kwanlin First Nation and the Kwäch'än Council. My husband Whit and I are very delighted to be here at the opening Arctic Arts Summit. Canada is proud to host this important gathering of Northern artists from across the Arctic region. Nakukmi magelo pungatakani sanangwati ilunatik pingwati lu takani tuinamata tamanna huvianaktualu maisumai nalianaman tamani gatsi nakukmi magipung ilunasining. Let me tell you a story. Laissez-moi vous raconter une histoire. It's a story of a little girl growing up in Nunavik. She learns to hunt and fish. She learns where to gather berries and other foods from the tundra. Every fall, she enjoys picking blueberries, my favorite. She speaks her language, Inuktitut, and knows the traditions of Inuit taught by her mother and grandmother and other members of her community. She's immersed in that world, body, mind, and soul. But there is another world beyond her community. Her father, a man from the South and non-Indigenous, has come to love her world, speaks the language, and raises his children completely at home in the North. And he also gives them a gift, knowledge of another place, of a different culture and way of thinking. That little girl was me. And I grew up in two worlds. I navigated those worlds, building bridges between them, always with the goal of making lives better for Inuit and protecting Inuit rights, cultures, and language. I learned how important it is to open yourself up to new ideas and new people, and to see the world through different lenses, and that it's possible to do that without giving up who you are. I tell you this story because I want you to know how meaningful these northern visits are for me, to be here again in such familiar company and great friends. And I tell you this because you, artists and supporters of the arts, are like that little girl. You build bridges, are open to new ideas, have shared who you are with others, and have held on to your identity. Artists are reflective of culture. You shine a light on issues that impact our communities every day. You show us the wonderful, mythical, the mundane, the challenges and the beauty of life. You communicate important truths to a wider audience. No matter what country you're in, you're connecting us through your art, bridging matters of time, language, culture, and borders. It is wonderful to see representatives from different nations and different peoples here with us today. I'm particularly heartened to see many Indigenous communities represented here from Canada and from around the circumpolar region. Your presence will encourage circumpolar collaboration, both in the arts and beyond. Collaboration between countries is vital as we work through some of the most pressing issues facing our countries, including pandemic recovery, sovereignty, and climate change. The arts can help bring us closer, to spark conversation and to realize our potential as partners. No matter our differences, we're united in our certainty that art is vital for our future. I've seen this firsthand. As Governor General, I've been honored to see examples of Northern and Indigenous art during the last year. En tant que Gouverneur Général, j'ai eu le privilège de voir can't see the word. Des exemples is what I'm trying to say. Des exemples d'art nordique et autochtone au cours de la dernière année. Earlier on, I said it right. Let me share with you some of what I've seen. At the National Arts Center in Ottawa, I shared the stage with students from Nunavut and the Inuit Center. They sang our national anthem in English, French, and Inuktitut to an audience at the Governor General's Performing Arts Awards. In Toronto, I attended the Junos to present the 2022 Humanitarian Award to Susan Agluka. She's the first Inuk to win a Juno Award and as a Governor General's Performing Arts Award for Lifetime Artistic Achievement. Throughout her career, she has helped to create safe spaces for Indigenous youth to express themselves freely and to immerse themselves in their culture through her Arctic Rose Foundation. I was at the National Gallery of Canada when Lakuluk Williamson Bathroy won the 2021 Sobey Art Award for Contemporary Art. An Inuk artist living in Iqaluit, Lakuluk creates art that reflects her community. Like many of you, she's passionate about her home, about the North. In Germany last year, Diantha Edmonds, who is a cousin of mine, Canada's first Inuk classical singer, performed in front of an international audience at the Frankfurt Book Fair. In Nunavik, on my return home to my home region recently, I was proud to showcase some fantastic Indigenous fashion, bringing attention to designers who are artists in their own right. I have seen the power of arts and artists in the past year, and it inspires me to move forward. Here at the Arctic Arts Summit, striking, though provoking, original works surround you. Like the best art, they tell a story and bring us along on a journey of discovery. They let us see our society, our country, our world through your eyes. And we need your unique points of view. Too often, we let others tell our story, speak for us, define us. It has happened to Indigenous people for much too long, not to mention other minority communities. Jessie Went, Chair of the Canada Council for the Arts, and who is with us here today, has discussed the concept of narrative sovereignty. To quote from Mr. Went's book, Unreconciled, narrative sovereignty is the idea that people, communities, and nations should control their own stories and the tools used in that storytelling. When we take back our stories reclaim them, speak them in our own languages, we can start to shape ourselves and how others perceive us. We can better communicate and can speak conversations on matters of fairness, equality, justice, and even reconciliation. Art can lead to reconciliation, or art can lead with reconciliation, which is not a single act, but instead an ongoing commitment to building and rebuilding our relationship with each other and with our land. It's opening our minds and reshaping our priorities. It's addressing the deep wounds of the past and finding ways to heal together. I believe this comes down to the truth, understanding the realities of others, learning about different cultures and beliefs, and stepping back to give space for people to tell their stories without judgment or recrimination. No matter what medium you work in, you're controlling your stories, learning and growing from adversity, and showing us who you are and where you come from, by the North and from the North. Of course, this isn't new. For thousands of years, artists found a way to communicate with each other, and they still speak to us today. Christy Belcourt, a Métis visual artist and author, explains why art is a tool of connection as well as communication. To quote, "Using Métis historical art as the foundation of my art has brought a sense of continuity between the past and present. To celebrate my culture for having survived through those tough years of extreme poverty, abuse, and shame." And looking outside Canada, we have examples from the Sami people who created rock paintings that still resonate with their story and with their ancestors. First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples, all Indigenous peoples around the world, passed down stories through the generations. While growing up, my grandmother would tell us Inuit legends, and my favorite was always Sedna. For those who may not have heard this story, the story of Sedna is how she became the ruler of the Inuit underwater world, I should say, and how different species of seals, walruses, and other sea mammals were born. It's a creation myth. Our stories and how we tell those stories are how we create ourselves, how we define ourselves. We need to nurture and protect our stories and our storytellers. We need to find room in the world and in our hearts for all stories to thrive. And they are thriving. Here is the proof. Your art is the proof. Through visual arts and performing arts, through storytelling and through fashion, carvings and paintings and plays, so many ways to acknowledge the truth, so many ways to achieve narrative sovereignty. The end result? A transformation of the Arctic region into an artistic juggernaut that will also encourage greater understanding, respect, and reconciliation. In Mr. Wente's words, when that truth is finally acknowledged, meaningful change can spark and spread like fire. There are hard challenges in creating art and speaking truth, particularly in today's world of misinformation, instant gratification, and snap judgments, but I know that you will rise to meet this moment in our history. It is wonderful that we can finally gather like this once again after too long apart. I hope you will use this gathering as a time to renew yourselves, to meet new people, to discover new favorite artists, and to connect with each other. That connection is what will drive you forward for the next year. I know it drives me. There is a word I often use in Inuktitut, and there are other Inuit in this room that use that word as well, that some of you already know. The word is ayuinata. This is an important concept for Inuit. It means to never give up and to commit yourself to action, no matter how difficult the cause may be. You all live with ayuinata in your hearts. I'd like to leave you with the words of Norma Dunning, winner of the 2021 Governor General's Literary Award in Fiction. She's an Inuit author and wrote an essay about connecting with a new fan in person after too many years of pandemic isolation. Although she speaks about books here, I believe this quote applies to all art, all our stories. She said, I think about how books make us reach out to one another, how they make us explore something we have never thought of, how they make us understand things that we have struggled with, how different ethnicities can reach out to form a common ground. Thank you for sharing your vision with us and for continuing to find ways to astonish us with your art. Merci de partager votre vision et de continuer à trouver des moyens de nous étonner avec votre art. Nakurmik ilunasi, sibunitsatinik takunnahatawatsi, tamanna pinasuaktasi pingwanitsilu, alla sungunitsilu titirarnikut, ilunasi kayusititsisiahatawatsi inusitinik, nakurmayakanga ilunasiasining. Whit and I look forward to seeing the Tether exhibit and the premiere of Dreaming Roots. I know we will leave here renewed in spirit after seeing the world through your eyes. So thank you very much. Merci. Nakukmi Mareluk.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Gunis Chis, Masicho, Nakumek, thank you so much for being here with us today. Your words are inspiring. Your journey is inspiring to so many of us. Thank you. I would like to thank Gunta Business, who is doing all the technical work today and on our behalf and helping us to ensure that folks around the world are able to hear what we're talking about today and to be with us in the Yukon. This now concludes the live stream portion of this afternoon's ceremony, and I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in across the north and around the world. Thank you so much. Check back throughout the summit for extensive coverage of the incredible programming to come. Those of you who are here in person, please remain seated. We have more in store for you. So thank you very much. And we now, as we end the live stream, have a moment. So I'm gonna, I want to, just reflecting on what our Governor General talked about, today I'm wearing, I try to wear different pieces from different artists, and because it's wearable art, you know, and we have so many incredible artists here in the territory. So I want to do a shout out to Tamika Knutson, she's here today. Yeah, she's over here. So Tamika is from, and there are a number of artists from Kwäch'än here today, at the summit, but you may have heard that there has been a baby mammoth found in their territory. Like, this ancient being was found in their territory, and If you haven't heard about it, look it up, because it's only the second in the world, and this is a fully intact baby mammoth. And I'm not sure the name, I'll get it later maybe, but it means, it translates to big baby animal. So an ancient being. So I wanted to share that. The other thing that I'll share as we're preparing, we're going to have a couple of speakers come next that have had a tremendous amount to do with this summit, and some really special words to share with us. But I wanted to ask folks if you've had a chance to drink the water in the Yukon. Have you had a chance to? You've been here for a day or so. I'm sure you've drank some water here. Well, I want to inform you and warn you that now that you've drank the water here, the Yukon is inside of you. It really is. And you're going to always want to come back. It's one of the most common stories you'll hear around the Yukon, that I came here 40 years ago for a visit and never left, or came back, or always had a desire to come back. And so it's just a warning, sorry. It's one of our secrets that we hold pretty close. So it is my honor to, it's not easy, it's not an easy feat to follow the Governor General of Canada, but if anyone is up to the task, it's our next speaker, the founder of the Arctic Arts Summit herself, Maria Utsi. Hailing from Norway, Maria is a renowned festival director and a Norwegian Sami theater scholar. She has served as a guiding member of numerous arts and cultural organizations, including the Norwegian Arts Council and the Sami National Theater. Maria is a true catalyst for the promotion and development of arts and culture across the circumpolar region, including the Arctic Arts Summit, as part of her growing legacy. Please welcome Summit founder, international liaison, as a member of this year's curatorial team, Maria Utsi.
Thank you, Minister, for that overwhelming introduction, I must say. Dear friends and colleagues, brothers and sisters of the North, Your Excellencies. I first of all want to acknowledge that we are on the lands of the Kwanlin First Nation and the Kwäch'än Council. Thank you for letting us visit your land. We do so with the greatest respect and gratitude. And thank you also to the elders for your guidance this afternoon. That meant a lot to us. After this extremely powerful opening, to talk about politics somewhat feels a little bit pragmatic. But bear over with me, because just being a Northerner, an Arctic human, and an indigenous Arctic human is political in itself. The Arctic Arts Summit sprung from a years-long frustration, and I must say anger, over the lack of visibility and impact on Northern perspectives in both national cultural policy making and the international discourse on the Arctic. The fact that all the Arctic national state capitals are located in the south has always meant that the premises for Northern development have been defined from the south. The Northern realities, the Northern conversations, the indigenous knowledges and traditions have not been in focus when the Arctic future has been drawn on the international political scene. For us, back in 2015, 2016 in the Arctic Arts Festival in Harstad on the Norwegian side of Sápmi. This was an impossible premise for the future. We wanted to define our future, our development, our priorities ourselves. Define relevance and importance, define artistic excellence and quality and artistic freedom, define how our stories are to be told. And that's why we started the Arctic Arts Summit back in 2015, to regain the power of definition and create a forum that cannot be overlooked or ignored. An international forum where we, artists and art professionals, elders, institutions and organizations, politicians and scholars can come together and build a creative power line that stretches across the circumpolar north and the indigenous communities on these northern lands. A forum that manifests what we have come to call the arts as a driving force for the development and future of the Arctic. Because we have so much to share, so much in common, and so much to gain from collaborating and co-creating. For us, the Sami people, meeting our indigenous brothers and sisters of the North has been an inspiration and a necessity in our struggle for self-determination for generations. Arctic Arts Summit draws inspiration from these long collaborative traditions between indigenous nations and cultures, and has worked to create new platforms for developing creative paths for the future. Some history. When we proposed the idea for the Arctic Arts Summit, the project immediately gained interest from the Norwegian Ministry of Culture, or at least from one man in the Ministry of Culture. And I want to use this opportunity to acknowledge that if it wasn't for Mr. Sverre Mjøen, who is here today, we probably wouldn't be here today opening the third Arctic Arts Summit. He believed in the project and he fought for it, and he traveled with us to visit the Arctic Ministries of Culture all around the circumpolar area, the embassies, the organizations and the institutions on behalf of the ministry through 1.5 years long preparation process prior to the first summit, even though he was quite on his own on a national level, and it worked. In 2017, we could finally welcome the Arctic to the first ever summit in Harstad, Norway, where close to 400 people gathered to discuss, perform, share, and create new visions for the Arctic. I also want to thank Dean Timo Jokela from Finland, who picked up the baton and brought the summit to Finland in 2019. The 2019 summit in Rovaniemi was hosted by the Finnish Ministry of Education and Culture, the Arts Promotion Center of Finland, Taike, and the University of Lapland. The topic centered on how the Arctic could function as a laboratory for sustainable development of art and cultural policies for the future. It was an absolutely fantastic event that demonstrated that the Arctic Arts Summit was a platform that could gather people across distances to think and work together. I was personally so relieved and thrilled when Canada announced their interest in hosting the third summit that we are opening here today. I must say the Canada Council for the Arts has been an invaluable supporter of the Arctic Arts Summit from the very beginning, and the project would not have been possible if it wasn't for their long-term interest and engagement. I'm also so immensely grateful to the hosts, the government of Yukon, and their fantastic staff, together with the Arka Cultural Festival, Yukon Art Center, and the YCTA. Thank you for making this historic and powerful summit possible. So, dear friends and colleagues and fellow Northerners, let us use this unique opportunity to listen, learn, talk, discuss, and engage over the next days. Together we are strengthening the connections and the communities across the North, connections that will support our fight to stand up for our rights and demand for self-determination across the North as we are creating our own path for the future of the Arctic. Olugito, thank you so much.
That was so good. Thank you so much, Maria. I'd now like to call to the stage Dr. Heather Igalo-Lee-Arti and Renelta Arluk. Dr. Igalo-Lee-Arti is an Inuk scholar, independent curator, and art historian from Nunatsiavut. She is a professor of Indigenous art history, research chair of the Indigenous Circumpolar Arts, and co-director of the Initiative for Indigenous Futures at Concordia University. She is also the Arctic Arts Summit's coordinating producer and the driving force behind the visual arts programming throughout the summit. Renelta Arluk is a Dene and Inuvialuit actor, storyteller, writer, and producer from the Northwest Territories. She is a graduate of the BFA acting program from the University of Alberta, founder of the Akpik Theatre, and the current director of Indigenous Arts at Banff Centre for Arts and Creativity. She is also the Arctic Arts Summit's artistic producer for Nuiha Rook and Theatre in the Bush. Both of these talented women are also members of the Summit's Indigenous curatorial team. Please welcome Heather and Renelta. Thank you so much.
Unasakut, Tungatsagitsi. I'm so happy to be here. Good afternoon and welcome everyone to the 3rd International Arctic Arts Summit. We all made it. I am Dr. Heather Igalo-Lee-Arti. I am also a cousin of Diantha Edmonds. It's like, am I related to the Governor General? Oh my God. I am an Inuk, a Newfoundlander, and a Nunatsiavut beneficiary now living in Montreal, where I hold the chair in Circumpolar Indigenous Arts at Concordia University. I am also the Summit coordinating producer, chair of the programming committee, and a curator of the visual arts.
Ublama Atitu Atira Renelta Arluk, so good morning. Hello, my name is Renelta Arluk, and I'm originally from the Northwest Territories, but I have family lineage that connects through Alaska into Old Crow and to Inuvik region through my grandfather's side. So we are part of the Old Moses family in Old Crow, and my great-grandfather was Simon Arnaktuk, who had 2 brothers that came over by dog team, and 2 stayed and 1 went back to Alaska. And my mother's side is Denu Suslenning and Cree from Treaty Territory in Wood Buffalo region in southern Northwest Territories. I'm just really humbled and really grateful to be here. I am the Director of Indigenous Arts for Banff Centre in Arts and Creativity, founder of Akpik Theatre, and also the curator for the performing arts component of the Arctic Arts Summit. And I'm just very grateful and excited to be able to see the incredible artists that have joined us from such a long distance and from such a short distance. So, Kwäch'än and Masicho.
We're so grateful to the elders for that incredible welcome, both here inside and around the sacred fire. And we're just thrilled to be here today for this to be finally happening. On behalf of the programming committee, I want to say thank you to everyone who's agreed to participate in this week's panel discussions, either as a host institution or a moderator or a panelist. I also want to note that, as you can probably expect, there have been a number of last-minute changes to the panels, as some of the speakers have been unable to make it here due to flight changes or cancellations or other events. The organizers are working overtime to ensure that the online information is the most accurate and up-to-date. So please bear with us. Some of the changes are out of our control, but we're doing our best behind the scenes. And I will say the panel conversations all look fantastic. The biggest challenge for all of you will be to decide which panel you're going to attend. There have been a lot of people working on this organization behind the scenes, and I want to thank everyone who has been doing this, from the logistics to the panel organizing committee, everyone here at the Yukon, all of our local hosts, everyone from the Canada Council and Heritage. Thank you sincerely from us and to all of you for being here with us. It has been a long road, and we're just thrilled to be here. I'm going to use my time on the mic to also give a very special shout out to two of the post-secondary students who we have pulled into this project and have been working overtime. Yes. Laura Hodgins and Malaya Maloney. You've emailed all of them. They've been on board through the project that I direct, Inuit Futures in Arts Leadership, and I'm just so grateful to them for being so amazing over these last couple of weeks. In addition to the Adaka Cultural Festival, which kicks off at the end of the summit, we're happy to share with you a few of the highlights of the other programming you'll want to take in as well this week. This evening, following some refreshments here, it begins with the opening of the Tether Exhibition, followed by the fantastic Dreaming Roots Performance Arts Show, which features Yukon artists in dance, drumming, theater, music, and more. Make sure you check out the schedule for the tours of Tether throughout the week. Tether is curated by 4 emerging curators, all artists themselves, and features more than 50 works from artists from across this part of the Arctic, from ancestral objects all the way up to the present, including many new commissions. Some of those commissions are digital and new media works made by artists who have participated in a recent Circumpolar Incubator, which is an initiative co-directed by myself and my colleague, Canada Research Chair in Indigenous Arts, Collaboration and Digital Media, Dr. Julie Nagum, Director of the Abitibiwan New Media Lab at the University of Winnipeg. The Circumpolar Incubator brought together 16 Indigenous artists and filmmakers from across northern North America from all career stages and practices to create new digital artworks, and almost all of those works are here on display this week. In addition to the ones that are included in Tether, beginning tomorrow at lunchtime, please make sure to visit the Old Fire Hall to experience 6 new virtual reality works, and then walk along the Yukon River all the way down here to the KDCC to find the QR codes along this path to explore 5 more augmented reality works that were created by Indigenous peoples of this land and throughout northern Canada. There are a number of other exhibitions for you to explore. There are installations throughout this building and throughout the city as well, including 2 additional shows at the Yukon Art Center, Held in Copper, and A Land Like No Other, and 2 on-the-land projects right here on the grounds of the Kwanlin Dun Cultural Center. So please visit the lavu created by the collective and meet the local artists collaborating on the creation of a dugout canoe.
And then we have, for the performing arts component, we have Nui Haruk, and that's an Inuvialuktun word for to see from afar. And I thought that was a very fitting title to have, because we're gathering so many of us together that have traveled so far, and that we're coming together to meet each other, to welcome each other, and to learn and collaborate with one another. Focusing on land and base and practice, it's going to be, there's 4 different spots that are going to be throughout the KDCC. So you'll have performances at the feast stage, you'll have performances in this stage, you'll have performances at the river stage, and along the fire there. Many artists that have come from across all the circumpolar north, creating music, storytelling, spoken word, dance, contemporary traditional practices. It's going to be a feast. A music, performing arts, cultural feast. So please come hungry. And then one of the beautiful things about the Yukon is its expansive and incredible engagement to the arts. And one of them is Theater in the Bush. And it's run by Ramshackle Theater, and it's out of town. So, you know, when you come so far, you want to have a bit of a land experience. You want to be able to kind of leave the city a bit and kind of engage in how land inspires story and practice. And so Theater in the Bush is Ramshackle Theater founder Brian Fiddler. And it's exciting. The artists that are coming all this way are creating work this week that that will be presented at 10 o'clock till 12 o'clock on the 29th. You have to hop on a bus. You have to sign up now because it's limited. But what you'll experience is an on-the-land engagement of multiple performances, again, multidisciplinary. And there's such that Theater in the Bush was created out of a need to create art, even though, you change, like you have a family, you have to expand, and as Brian said, it's like you take the black box out of the theater, and why would we want to go back? And so really want to welcome and engage and to thank Brian for that. But yeah, those are our events.
There's more.
Those are my events.
The Yukon Theater, which is just close to the Sternwheeler, it's sort of in the center of town, will also be screening Peruvic circumpolar shorts in the afternoons all week long, featuring short films created from all around the circumpolar north. In the evenings, the feature film by Nyla Inukshuk, Slashback, is also playing. Slashback is, if you haven't heard of it, it's kind of a girl power alien invasion Pangnatung film. It's amazing. I saw it at its world premiere, and I really encourage you to go out and check that out in the evenings. It's going to make you both laugh and also jump out of your seat. It was filmed on location in Pang and is debuting in theaters right now all across the country. On Wednesday evening, please join us and all of Whitehorse on a fantastic art crawl organized by Heather von Steinhagen, featuring numerous local events and exhibitions, including the spectacular Land of None, Land of Us, curated by 4 international emerging curators and mentored by Pat Kane. Land of None, Land of Us is a contemporary circumpolar photography exhibition that is going to be going on to tour at other venues after its international debut here this week. And all of this is just as Adaka Cultural Festival gets underway. We hope that many of you are staying to enjoy the incredible programming of Adaka's spectacular week of events as well. With so much to see and enjoy and take in, you're probably wondering how you're going to get to experience it all, and I'm sorry you're not going to. Please, to start to address that, please check out the digital platform curated by the Inuit Art Foundation. All this week, post-secondary students from the Inuit Futures and Arts Leadership Program and emerging artists, writers, and activists from elsewhere in the circumpolar world are here to participate in something called the Knowledge Creators Next program. They are going to be our eyes and ears for the world this week, reporting on and responding to the events daily, all the events daily in the form of social media posts, videos, photographs, sketches, and other responses. So you can keep up with everything that's going on by visiting arcticartsummit.ca all week long. Thank you so much for being here, and please enjoy the summit. Not for me.
I just want to say thank you to the Yukon Arts Center. This couldn't have been able to happen with the Yukon Arts Center support, with Casey Prescott, Michelle Emcee, Josh Jansen, Danielle Basoyo, and of course with Malaya Mahoney, and all that great support, and Attica and the Yukon government. So again, just want to give applause to them. Thank you. Thank you.